The commission investigating state capture has heard today that at least 3 people have lost their lives under suspicious circumstances in Vrede and the neighbouring areas. Concluding his testimony, Ephraim Dhlamini, one of the Vrede dairy farm beneficiaries, detailed how his life was under threat. Dhlamini says the threats came after he made people within the project aware of their rights. On his first day of testimony, he told the inquiry how they were made to believe that the project would empower them, but they were left empty-handed. On Tuesday, he also implicated the then Free State Agriculture MEC, Mosebenzi Zwane, and the then Premier Ace Magashule. The inquiry has set aside this week to hear evidence about the Vrede dairy farm debacle, which saw the Gupta-linked Estina benefit millions from the project. The commission is currently hearing from Mishek Mpaleni, who is also one of the beneficiaries.
On the
25th of January 2019, I called the Hawks Brigadier because we were being threatened by death in Vrede. So because of the threats, I then called Brigadier. Date 25 January 2019. I'm also in the taxi industry, so one of my colleagues forwarded me a video which also it's more like threatening my life. It was talking about me, like threats to my life, and I even phoned Mr. Ntombela on the 11 June, telling him about this video, which was the content was threatening my life.
Let's get more on that state capture inquiry. I'm joined in studio by my colleague Manqoba Mchunu. Thanks so much for your time, Manqoba. We're hearing very worrying things about death threats and people passing away under mysterious circumstances.
Of course, those are some of the allegations that have come out of that commission today. In fact, very shocking allegations from Ephraim Dhlamini saying that, there were people who died as a result of this Estina dairy project just for simply asking questions or for probing too much. And as he puts it in that bite, he says he was also threatened to be killed just for making other people wiser or with regards to their rights in so far as this project was concerned. So shocking testimony indeed that there were death threats against him. He says these were made in June this year, and he did raise the matter with the police, the Vrede police, as well as the Hawks. But I think disappointing for him, he says, is that he regrets having taken this information to the Hawks. He says that he has a video, in fact, that implicates one of the people that threatens his life, and he says that this video he took to the Hawks and Mr. Ntombela from the Hawks, but nothing has been done up until now, which really shocked the commission chair who probed further about this matter. How can 3 people die and still there's nothing that has been investigated or heard? He went as far as also to ask him, do you feel safe at this point? Do you feel, is your life still being threatened? And he says, even till this day, I carry a gun even if I go to church, because if anything happens, I am ready to also defend myself. And unfortunately, ironically, Nzinga, that's the same advice he got from one of the police commanders at Vrede, who said to him, you must be willing to, you can phone us, but also be willing to defend yourself. So shocking testimony from there, revealing that about 3 people had died as a result of this.
Manqoba, did he give an indication of where these threats may be coming from or who may be part of these threats?
Well, of course, shocking even more, Nzinga, is the fact that he says that the people that were actually involved in this were officials from the municipality, the local municipality that is, as well as officials from the agriculture department. And he says, these people, all of them were kind of involved, and they were spies of the then agriculture MEC Mosebenzi Zwane. But let's take a listen to the part describing really about the deaths that had taken place there.
There were people who would directly say to us, we must be killed. Whatever they are looking for, they won't get it. Though I'm not going to mention names, but others will utter those words directly, threaten us directly. In the video that I made mention of, there is a person there who is saying they have hired a killer or someone to kill me in the video. There is a person who's saying Mr. Dhlamini should be killed, and then this person heard about this threat, and then he then said, give me this job, I will do it. This person then responded by saying, it's okay, I will arrange a meeting between yourself and the people who want this person to be killed.
Lo muntu usebenza kamasipala okusho ukuthi nabantu bakamasipala bangenile phakathi kule nto yokuthi sibulalwe.
This person works or is a municipal official, so he is part of the group that wants us to be killed.
Let's continue looking at that very shocking testimony coming out today. Manqoba, when we're saying that 3 people have passed away, we're not naming them, we don't understand who they were. Do you have insight into that?
Well, he did testify to the effect that, one of the most prominent one was Moses Chauke, who, of course, he says was also interviewed by an SABC program, Lisholas Chaba, as a while ago about this project. And he says he was shot, on his way before he got to Bloemfontein, and before he died, they thought that he died on the scene, but he gave some information at the hospital before he then died. So that's one of the names. We do know that there was also a Mr. Ngwenya that also died under mysterious circumstances after being threatened as well. And he says, there's another man, even though he can't remember his name, from another part of the Free State, who he says was also killed from this. But let's take a listen to what he said about this.
Know of other people who died or who were killed.
Phande kwababungwenya kwakhona ubaba wa-investigator Vrede.
Apart from Mr. Ngwenya, there was another gentleman who was investigating the Vrede dairy project.
Usele 30 kilometers ukuthi afike ePitori eBloemfontein wabulawa.
He was killed before he could even reach Bloemfontein, 10 kilometers to Bloemfontein.
Babethu file lo baba kanti akafanga wafela esibhedlela kodwa waphisana nge-statement sakhe emaphoyiseni.
Those who killed, they believe that he was dead at the scene, and yet he was now in hospital. That's why he gave out his statement whilst he was in hospital to the police.
Wayevelile la kuLisholas Chaba ku-TV.
He was on the media, the newspaper Lisholas Chaba, as well as on TV. Even today, I haven't heard what the law enforcers, what steps they have taken.
Manqoba Mchunu, following that story at state capture, what's next?
Well, of course, we're still hearing testimony from Mr. Mishek Ngongwani, who's also one of the intended beneficiaries of this program. Of course, he was a dairy farmer at the time, and he got roped into this project. So we expect to hear more of him as to the death threats he also faced from some of these officials. And of course, later on, if possible, and if they do conclude his testimony, we're expecting to hear from the acting head of the Agriculture Department in the Free State, Dr. Takiso Masiteng.
So much coming out of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture. My colleague Manqoba Mchunu following that story and going to keep us updated throughout the day. Let's go to Bloemfontein now, where commuters are angry that they were not informed about a taxi strike in order for them to try and make alternative transport arrangements. Thousands of commuters were left stranded as taxi drivers downed tools yesterday over route permits and unfair treatment from law enforcement. Commuters say their safety was at risk yesterday. Taxis and buses can be seen transporting commuters in the city centre of Bloemfontein, while some parts of Mangaung commuters are still stranded waiting for taxis.